Hello. Well, I wanted to say that things are changing, and it's in a good way. It's interesting. I've talked about the power of randomness with a deck of tarot cards. Now, this is really important. We don't select the cards select us. They're random, and we don't know what card's going to come off the top of the deck. And that forces us to make an association with that card into the element of the question it's placed with. And that power of randomness is really what sparks all this creativity and using the right side of the mind that we do. And I know I've mentioned in the past a few times that Michael Michalko, one of the leading creative consultants of our time, he made the Think Pack. This is a deck of cards to be randomly placed into your elements of your question. And I actually made a card spread of this. It was called Scamper. Scamper is the name of the card spread. And I think it's in Radical Tarot. And what Scamper is, Scamper is his application. Scamper stands for 7 elements to look into about a question. S is what can be substituted in this question. C is what can be combined in this question. And A is what can be adapted. How can things be adapted, modified, or made changed to be something more useful? M stands for modify, what could be modified, or you could also use magnified. He left that open to you. Modify or magnify. P stood for put to another use. How can this be put to another use? This situation. E stood for what could be eliminated. And R stood for what could be rearranged or reversed. Use whatever one you want there. Those are 7 elements to Scamper. And then he would lay a random Think Pack card to help you in each one of those elements. 7-card spread is what it becomes. And a random deck of cards to help get ideas. And these cards are help you get things to substitute, to combine, to adapt, to modify, put to another use, to eliminate, or to rearrange in some way. Help you find answers to something. And I thought that was cool. I had to buy the deck because it's a creative thinking deck of cards. And so I had to check it out. He also is the one who saw when I talked to him on the phone about my talking about how the tarot is a creative thinking technique the same way as something like Scamper would be. We're conceptually blending a card to an element of a question, like S for substitute, put a card in there, or tarot cards, past, present, and future, a card in past, makes no difference. But what's interesting about this, I've mentioned this in the past, but about a month ago on YouTube, I saw an ad for storytelling cards. Storytelling cards. I think it was 52 cards there. And it helps you build stories, but it'll also help you find answers. And I saw the advertisement for it and helps you become innovative and find new ideas and things like that. So I thought that was interesting, but they wanted $200 for the deck. I wasn't going to pay $200 for the deck. So that's out there now. That's something new. Just a couple of days ago, I saw they have creative thinking cards now. Creative thinking cards. Buy those. They also have critical thinking cards. There's a place called School of Thought. Google that. School of Thought. That's who creates those creative thinking and the critical thinking cards. I also saw something that really blew me away. You've heard me talk about Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Sun Tzu had, I think it was 13 elements to consider in warfare. Sun Tzu was from 500 BC. Military genius. They still use The Art of War, his book, today in warfare strategies. They also use it in sports. They use it in business competition, any kind of competition. And you don't have to kill each other. You just use his elements there. His 13 or I think it's 13 elements. Now, I just saw a couple days ago, they actually have Sun Tzu cards. Sun Tzu, The Art of War cards. So everybody's going card crazy now. And there is only one way to use cards. You break the question apart into elements with like a pattern on a table, like Scamper for this. You can make that design any way you want to. You can make it a horseshoe, 7 positions. So you want to make it a horseshoe, you want to make it straight across, left to right, you want to make it a cross. Doesn't make any difference. It's what those positions stand for. That's what's important. And then you throw a random card into these positions to give you innovative ideas and ideas you never thought of before. I just think it's interesting to see that this is happening now. And that these creative thinkers are making cards like this now. So the tarot has been doing it for centuries. And now it's starting to become common with other decks. Decks specifically made just for that. In a way, tarot was made specifically for that too, but it was also used for games and things like that. But it's basically known for that. So things are changing. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to start seeing people professionally reading with these creative thinking cards, with the Sun Tzu cards, with all of them, creative thinking, or critical thinking cards, storytelling cards. They're not just going to be using the tarot cards anymore. Tarot cards are old. So anyway, I think I see that change. I never saw this before. Where all of a sudden they come out with these other random decks to find ideas. Ideas that we never saw before. They're making these decks of cards to do that. And they're using card spreads with these cards. And nobody's saying boo about tarot. This all came about because of studying conceptual blending and creative thinking techniques, not by me, but by other people. And this is going to grow. And anything new on our reader's table is going to attract attention. So Sun Tzu cards, Art of War, storytelling cards, creative thinking cards, and critical thinking cards. Same application we're doing with the tarot cards. And it's being done because it works. And nobody's calling this the occult or divination. No, now they understand how the mind works. They know that this is just because they know more about the mind. so they could explain it. So there's no mystery in them anymore. Doing the same thing we did with tarot cards, but it's not some ancient mystery from the Egyptians or something. No, they could explain that mousetrap now. So that's good. And I think these new cards are a validation of that. That might be something you're interested in. I'm going to see if I can put some links to that, any of those decks, on the comments here below, in case any of you want to buy the decks. I'll try to put the link to School of Thought down there too, who sells 2 of those decks. Creative Thinking deck and a Critical Thinking deck. And Sun Tzu. I'll put them down there if I got them. So it's becoming a surge of card reading to find answers. Only now they're not using tarot cards. That's new. And that's because of a new knowledge that they have now of creative thinking. Conceptually blending a random card to elements of a question. Very useful. Hope I see you May 9th. Tarot gatherings. Tarotmaps.com Zoom meeting. All are welcome. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.